Hey, what's up everyone? Danny and Alex. In this video, let's talk about the guard pass. All right, so guard passing when you're stuck in somebody's close guard, a couple of rules to follow, and I'll show you a couple of passes, so check it out. When you're in the close guard position, there's a couple of things I would like you guys to remember is always remember one thing. One word is posture, all right? I repeat this to all of my personal students all the time. Posture is of the utmost importance if you want to be able to pass somebody's guard. Listen, you can know all of the techniques in Jiu-Jitsu that exist, all of the submissions, all of the side control and mount techniques, but all of these techniques are no good to you if you can't pass somebody's guard, right? So the first thing we got to do is posture, because if I don't have this, I can't pass his guard. Look, as an example, if I'm lying down on him like this, he's going to be holding on to my neck. I'm not passing the guard, right? If he's holding on to my arm, I'm not passing the guard. I have no posture right now. Let alone the submission attacks that I'm giving an opportunity to my opponent when he's in the close guard position. In the close guard, remember one thing. This guy's got over hundreds of attacks he can do from here. I only have one objective, is to pass the guard. All right, so for example, if I was here, I'm not in a good position, right? Jiu-Jitsu is based on the principle of always positioning yourself correctly before your submission, right? I'm of the philosophy of my Jiu-Jitsu has to be where I can put myself in the best possible position to attack, while I also want to put my opponent in the worst possible situation, worst possible position to defend against my attacks, all right? So that's the philosophy. Now, right here, for example, speaking on that, if I were to attack, look, let's say, for example, I saw a collar choke and I'm saying, hey, let's try this collar choke inside somebody's close guard. Look, if I attack the collar choke here, look, he's going to uncross and easily attack a submission from here. Look, boom, attack an arm bar. If I were to think, maybe I'll go for an Americana. So as I go here now, look, as I start to go for the Americana, I can easily go to the back and attack the back attack. All right, now from here, there's a lot of things I have to do to prevent this, right? I want to be able to negate most of his attacks. So when I position myself, number one is I want to anchor my knees nice and tight. I want to be sitting very low, anchoring myself heavy, right? I want my hips just aligned with his, but I want my knees controlling his waistline a little bit like this. Now my arm positioning is very important. That's part of the posture, right? So sometimes if I'm here, I might be controlling the biceps just before he gets grips. That way there, that'll give me time to climb myself up and get a better posture right here, right? Every time I bring my neck down or my head down as such, I'm breaking my own posture. I'm also giving my opponent an opportunity to grip my collars and now pull me in. Now, positioning yourself for the posture also entails positioning your arms correctly, all right? So where I'm going to be placing my hands. So definitely I don't want to be placing my hands on the mat as such beside him, because once again, look, I have no posture. I'm giving him access to my collar, right? And Kimura, for example, right here, right? He can attack the arms. So I always want to have my hands busy and onto my opponent. So maybe I started here, controlling the biceps, and now I'm climbing myself up into a correct posture. Now, to prevent him from breaking my posture now, my arms are super crucial right now, right? So one way is sometimes you can just place your palms right here on the rib cage, and I like to make grips, and I'll just connect here, but make sure that your elbows are locked and not flaring out. If you hold any position with your elbows out, look, it's easy for him to just pull the elbows in and look, break the posture once again. All right, so try to understand these things. Now, if you can hold here with your elbows in, nice and tight and locked in, now you prevent this. You can also hold at the waist as such. I like to grab where the gi pant is and use my knuckles and press down against the hips like this in a good posture. All right. Sometimes we'll also just hold a jacket. I like to grab both lapels. Now bring him to my strong hand and I'll press nice and strong, very firmly here on his upper body, locking my elbow, and now using the opposite hand and grabbing right here at the waistline, right? This is another very good posture. Now, maybe the opponent is already pulling onto the collars, right? Maybe he's trying to tug me down. And look, if I have this here, I can resist this, right? Pull hard, Alex. Very difficult for him. See, my voice doesn't change because of proper posture. If, in contrast, my hand was like lifted towards the top like this and my elbow's already bent and I'm trying to hold here, it's very easy for him to break me down like this, okay? Now maybe they hold two collars. right? A lot of beginners sometimes will just grab your jacket and try to pull you down like this. Just grab the collar like this. And if you're trying to resist now you're going two hands against two hands. So what I like to do using the same posture, go ahead, Alex, two on the collar. Look, I'll bring one on top to grab like this. And now I position myself on an angle. See, if he tugs, it's very challenging for him, right? As opposed to being underneath this grip, okay? So these are all important concepts of your posture. Same thing if you're controlling the hips here, lock your elbows, right? If you lock the elbows here, and let's say, for example, you're holding this type of grip. Now, a lot of times some people might look at this and say, hey, maybe the arm bar is subject to being attacked right now. So if he goes for the arm bar and you are doing a great job with this opposite hand, my left hand is controlling right here at the waistline, pressing the hips down, it's serving a purpose, right? The first hand is to prevent him from climbing up to me. The second hand is to pin the hips down. So now, for example, if he went for the armbar, look, as he opens the legs, it's hard for him to get that armbar. Watch. If I didn't have this posture and he goes for an armbar attack, watch the leg work that happens now. As he turns, see that leg climbs up and the other one follows. He needs to climb his legs onto my shoulders. Now, if I control the hips correctly and he goes for this arm and I control this hip here, the moment he unlocks to attack this arm, look, he can't raise. Go for the armbar, Alex, turn. It's going to be an ugly armbar. Even if he's able to pass his leg, there's so much space for me, and now I can pass the guard on this direction, okay? Because I was controlling this leg, and that prevents him from attacking that submission. So once again, posture, super crucial if you want to be able to pass somebody's guard. Because listen, number one is positioning yourself correctly. Number two is uncrossing the legs or breaking the guard open, right? And then number three is the pass that will occur afterwards, right? Once the legs are open, then you can select the type of passing position you want to use against the opponent's reaction. But none of this will happen, and none of your submission holds from the top side control, top mount, north-south, knee on belly, back control will happen if you can't uncross the opponent's legs to pass his guard. Now we're going to look at different ways we can use to pass the guard, right? Although there's hundreds of guard passes, there's some that, against open guards, butterfly guards, de la Hiva, spider hooks, lassos, etc. All of these guard passing techniques that you're going to be learning throughout your jiu-jitsu journey are going to be relatively stuff that you're going to be adapting to your own game, right? Everyone's going to have a different style of guard passing. But today I want to show some very basic stuff that I like to teach beginners that served me well personally, but also can really be added to pretty much anybody's game, whether you like the loose passing or tight passing, because if you control the person correctly with your posture, then you can start to uncross their legs and then select some really good tight passing, right? So today I'm going to show you maybe a few guard passing techniques that are very basic, but also serve like good pressure style passing, right? I do believe in passing the guard on the knees, but I also like to pass the guard standing up. And this is what we're going to show you right now, okay? So look, what we're going to do is start with our posture, getting that collar inside our palm, right? Now I'm controlling the hips here. But a lot of times my opponent might be tugging on my collar. So either one or two grips, but he's holding on to me as such, right? So now what I'm going to do is posture myself even further up using my legs. So once I have a correct posture here, look, my arm that's holding his chest is the right side. Now on the same right side, my foot is going to step right beside his hip, all right? That's going to elevate his hips only on one side, but I keep on pressing here. Now, if I want to unlock the legs, what I need to do now is make sure that his hips are glued to the mat, all right? So once I step up, I transfer the weight here, and now I transfer the weight to the hip as I remove the opposite leg to uncross the guard, and now I'm ready to start my guard passes because now it's called the open guard position, okay? That's one way of doing this. Now, another method sometimes is to elevate the opponent up if they don't uncross their legs. It'll happen, there'll be two situations. The first one is going to be a situation where you forgot to press on the hip. And the second situation might be you are trying to press on the hip, but you just get someone who's super strong in a closed guard and you're having a challenging time to uncross. So what we're gonna do now is show you a way where we can lift them off the mat, okay? So look, he's gonna grab my collar, he's also hooked onto me. And now as I got to here now, look, as I start to stand up, 1 and 2. What's going to happen is he stays hooked to my waistline. So as I got to here now, it ends up like this. So I'll switch the grip here and I'll grab double on the collar right here. And I'll raise him off the mat using my hips. Always use your hips and not the arms. The moment I try to pull him with the arms, I might not be strong enough. The other thing to remember here is don't bring your head past the line of your hand. All right, where I'm pressing onto his chest, I need to keep my head below this. That way I'm not unbalanced, okay? So as I grip the collars here, I lift them using a bridge of my legs, 1. Now it makes it very easy for me to support him, and I bring my feet together. So now as I bring my feet together, you can see that he's resting on my lap. So now, the more he tugs on me, the easier it is for me to support him, okay? Now I'll use the opposite hand that I had on the waist, and I'll grab here right at the pant line, and I'll start to pry with my elbow as it opens the guard from here. Now, he gets the guard open, and I can start my passing. I like to press the knee from here, and look, shoot this leg across, and step it right over, okay? This is the knee cross pass. The moment I'm here, watch my right hand. It's going to post underneath his armpit, and the other one's gonna catch his elbow, and now I'll be ready to pass. Right from here. Okay, now the next one is if the opponent's not holding on to you. So let's say, for example, he's not doing any grips with his arms. All right, so I had this posture here, controlling the lapels, controlling the hip, and once again, this is if I tried to stand up and I wasn't able to control the hips correctly, and now he's hanging on tight with his closed guard position. So as I start to stand up, it's very important. As I press here, now I can't open the guard by pressing onto his hip. So I feel that when I stand up, he's still hooked onto my hips and he's not having the grip. So once I stand up, look, as he got to here now, if he's not hooking onto me like in the first version, I'm not gonna try to lift him up because now I have to support all of his body weight. The first reaction was he was gripping onto me. So half of his weight was pulling and he was helping me lift him off. This time, he's not gripping anything. So if I see that he's not holding on to me, I'm not gonna try to raise him up. I'm just gonna come up myself here, controlling, and now prying this open in this manner. Now the moment his knee is open, look, I keep pushing until I can pin this to the mat. So there's two things that are gonna happen. He's gonna try to recover this leg, and he's also gonna try to turn towards me, of course, to prevent the pass. So I gotta keep the pressure here onto his chest to keep him exactly where he is, and I also have to pin this leg down so he can't recover that guard. And now that's gonna give me the open space to start slicing once again, exactly as in the first pass. As usual, post underneath his arm so he can't take your back. If I forget to do this and I post it here, for example, as I'm passing, he's gonna scoot out and attack the back. By posting my arm underneath his armpit, that makes it challenging for him to do so. And now, this arm here, if it's just laying on the mat, I don't like to take care of it. But if it's trying to push me as such, what I'll do is just cup it, bring it over the elbow, and I'll post my weight beside him and kick the leg out. 1 and 2. All right, using the same knee cross pass, all right, so for example, maybe I started to stand up from here, and now as I post myself up, and he's hooked onto me, now instead of raising him up, I keep pressing here, I'll push, and look, as I pinned him here. Now, maybe the opponent this time is grabbing this here, right here, okay? So if he's holding onto my sleeve now, what I'm going to do, look, as I start to pass this leg through and step over, because he was cupping this, it's hard for me to get the underhook. He's doing a great job keeping the elbow tight against his waist, so that way there's no place for the underhook, plus he's controlling his sleeve here. So since I was holding his collar, what I'm going to do is just use my elbow, because what he wants to do is prevent him taking the back, right? So he needs to move to the side, to his left side, to my right, to take my back. So I'm gonna use my elbow and pin his hip. So now I can't swim this arm underneath. He's controlling, he's doing a better job. I'll use my elbow, plank beside his hip bone, and now use the same pass. Now I don't want him to move. Keep the pressure, get rid of the bottom leg. And now, once you're here, you'll be able to use this hand, underhook it, grab, and adjust. All right, so once we've broken open the guard, it's important to understand that we want to stagger our feet like this, okay? So I never want to have my feet parallel as such, because number one, I don't have balance from front to back, all right? So if he grabs my feet and he pushes my hips, I'll fall backwards. So always try to place yourself in a better balance, in a position to pass here. Now, when you pass the guard, you can use pressure style passing, very tight passing, or you can also be more loose, such as, grabbing the legs and just moving around them. So what we're going to do now is show you one of those tight passing. Okay, so from here, a lot of times what we can do is just swim one arm inside. So I bring my arms underneath, but look, I'll grab the collar with this hand to hold on to him. And now, as I walk around, I can start passing very tight and now hooking his head, controlling the side. That's one type of pass that you can use that's very tight, right? The pressure passing style. A lot of times when you do this though, from the open guard position, he might be grabbing your sleeve already. So if he's hooking here, now it's going to be challenging for you to pass this arm underneath that leg. So now if you're here, just grab a hold of his collar so you don't lose your balance. And I'll go back to the first option where you pin this leg. And now look, as you bring this leg across, you start passing in this direction, okay? Now sometimes you'll start to pass in this direction and this leg will be very stiff. He brings this frame, everything is hooked on this side. So as I start to pass here, look, one, I start to bring everything here, but now this leg sometimes will come back up. They're very strong, or his hand, he'll put it underneath his knee as such, right? He's framing from the elbow to the mat and right here. So now it's harder to push this leg down. So to use the knee cross pass, if you find it, whoa, this is not going to happen here now. Now once you press here, you'll go back to this one and hook here and once again pass to this side, right? These are just examples of how you can connect your passes from the left to the right side. So the underhook pass or the stack pass is a great basic pass to use, and the knee cross pass, which is also a very basic pass, also a great technique to use. Now combining these two passes, you have a nice starting point for your guard passing game. All right, guys, so just to recap, some great tips today, just to show you guys how you should position yourself before you start breaking open the guard. So remember this, number one is posture. Without posture, you can't open the guard. Number two is to break open the legs so you can pass, right? So always those three steps in mind. Posture is first, hand positioning, that goes together. Number two, break open the guard. Either way, sometimes you like to break open the guard from the knees, sometimes standing up, whichever you prefer. I like both. And then once the guard is open, you have to choose your passing style. In future videos, I'll cover some more passing techniques, maybe more advanced ones, show you some of my preferred methods of passing. What I teach in videos or what I teach to my students sometimes doesn't mean that's my personal preference. Everyone has a different style of jiu-jitsu, right? Passing is one of those things where you want to develop all the basics, understand the concepts of how you should be passing, when, and how to use each. And then eventually you start to use your own jiu-jitsu style, your own passing style game. Because passing the guard is almost an art in itself, right? Because there's so many different guards to deal with, okay? But once again, I think the most important thing to remember, if you remember one thing in this video, posture is that key word, okay? So if you don't have posture, that means you're stuck in somebody's close guard here. None of these passing is going to happen, plus none of the topside controls or submission attacks are going to occur. All right, so always position yourself here. Like I said at the beginning of the video, lock your elbows, make some grips, control the hips, control the collars, either way, right? Sometimes also remember to keep the center line here. All right, so for example, if you had this hand postured here in the center, don't grip and just hold one collar on this side, okay? So for example, if I was holding like this, I'm off the center line. It's very easy for Alex to just drag my elbow to the mat, boom, and I'll shift his hips. And once again, he's created angles where he can start attacking submissions or the back control, okay? The other thing too is the reason why I teach to grab both collars is now it's hard for him to break this grip, get rid of it. If I were to hold only one collar as such, now it's easy for him to just tear the grip off, boom, all right? Same thing on the other side, only one collar, boom, easier to break the grip. Two collars, that makes it more hard or challenging for him to break those grips because they're tied together, right? If you were to choose only one grip, I would suggest using this one here, right? Because although he might try to break the grip, this is going to be harder for him to create an angle. If he tries to push my arm on this side, it's hooked onto his jacket. Whereas if I were to hold this side of his lapel, even if he wasn't breaking the grip, if he just opened the lapel up and pulls my arm to this direction, it follows through with the gi, right? Nothing controls him. On this side, it's kind of hooked onto his body, all right? So if you were to hold only one, choose this side, okay? Both, better. I like to say there's good, better, best in every technique and positions we do. All right, guys, so there you have it. Some tips on opening the closed guard position as well as a few passing options. Hope you enjoyed this content. Leave us a thumbs up. If you are new to our channel, make sure to subscribe, and we'll see you
in the next video.
Take care.